Today I'm going to be making letter pendants with twisted wire. I'm going to twist my own wire with 20 gauge artistic wire. You can buy pre-twisted wire as well, and then you'll need your tools. I have flat pliers, round pliers, and cutters. We'll start with a 6 to 8 inch piece of 20 gauge wire and bend it with our round pliers to make a little loop. Then take your flat pliers and twist the wire. Now the key to making a nice twist is to hold the wire ends out at a consistent angle. I'll link up some other videos for twisted wire tutorials in the description, and we want to keep twisting until you have about 1.5 inches of twist, and then measure at about 5/8 and do a sharp bend for the top of the A. Just give it a little bit of a pinch, and now for the crossbar, just twist it across with the flat pliers and then twist it back. This is the easiest method I've found to make this with one piece of wire. And you have to sort of squish them together so they'll hold in place. You can always hammer these letters after if you need, just with a rawhide mallet or a plastic mallet to harden up the wire. So once you've positioned it how you like, we are going to take one of the ends and we're going to clip it. Pinch it in, straighten the other end, and form a loop at the end. This finishes it off nicely. Clip it, and then you're going to pinch it with the flat pliers so it's flush. And just do any adjustments you need to do to make a nice shape. Use your flat pliers. And there's your A. Now for the B, measure about 2 inches and then bend it across at the height of your B with the flat pliers. Now get your larger round pliers to form the top loop. So just position it how you like, and then again the flat pliers to bring it across back upon itself. And then you're going to squish those two sections together so they'll hold in place, and again the round pliers to bring the bottom loop around. So just adjust it how you need. There's your B, and then you have to take one of the ends and give it a little clip. Clip the other end a little shorter so you can put it into that loop at the bottom, and then tug the end, bring it around and clip it. Then you're going to get your flat pliers again just to push it in flush, and there you have your B. So for the C, we have our length of wire, depends on how big you want to make your letter, and just bend it around with the round pliers. Use the smaller ones to get into that area a little more, and just curve it around. You can compare it to your other letters if you want it the same size, and then we'll clip one of the ends. Get your round pliers and adjust it around there and clip it. Now get your flat pliers and push it down. Wiggle it to the right shape, and there you have your C. Now for the D, we're going to measure the length and then measure the height about 5/8 of an inch. Round pliers again to curve it around, form the D, and then we'll just wiggle it a bit, clip an end, And then we'll get our cutters to clip the end a little shorter so we could get that end into the loop at the bottom. And then we're just going to give it a little tug and clip it. And there we have our flat pliers are going to tuck in that end, push it in, do any adjusting that you have to do, and there's your D. So for the E, measured about 2.5 inches, and we're going to bend the end at where it is at the bottom, and then the middle bar, we're going to bend it out and in. The middle bar is a little shorter than the bottom bar. Again, we're going to squeeze those two together as much as we can. And then we'll bend that up so we can form the top of the E. Keep pressing it with the flat pliers to push the wires together. And then bend it straight across for the top of the E. And now we're going to clip it a little shorter and get our flat pliers and just untwist it a little bit if it's too long. Separate the ends, flatten them out a bit, pull it around to close that little loop, clip it, pinch it. We don't want any rough ends. And then we're going to clip it a little shorter so we can make our loop. It's a little over 1/8 of an inch, almost 1/4 inch. Twist it around with my favorite round nose pliers and press it flush with your flat pliers, and there's the E. And for the F, we're going to bend it where the bottom line should be, similar style to the E, and then bend it back on itself. Press the wires together, and then we're going to push the wire up and get to the top line. Keep adjusting as you go and bend it across for the top of the F. And then we're going to finish it very similar to the E. Give it a good little tug to close that loop. Clip it with our flush cutters. Bring the other end out. Clip the other end to between 1/8 and 1/4 inch and get our fine round nose pliers and twist it around into a loop there. And give it a little pinch so it's flush, and there's our F. So for the G, we're going to curve it around like we did with the C. Use your fine pliers, the round nose pliers, to get in there a little better. And then we have our larger round nose pliers. Keep curving it around to form the shape of the G. And then we want our flat pliers, and we're going to bend it sharply to the middle to form the line of the G. And I have to untwist it a little more because it was a little too long. And then we're just going to bend one end around to secure it in place. Flip it over and get our cutters and give it a little clip in there. Pinch it in the end so it's not scratchy, and then clip the other end. Keep it simple, adjust it, and there's your G. So for the H, we have a longer piece of twisted wire, and at the bottom we're going to bend it up and give it a little pinch. And then we're going to bend it across for the crossbar. Pinch those ends in so they're as close together as possible. And then bend it down at the bottom of the H. And then bend it back up with your flat pliers. And give it a little pinch. You really want those wires to be squished together as much as possible. And then at the top you might have to unwind it a bit if you've twisted it too much. And at the height you want, give it a tug and then clip it. Pinch it in with the flat pliers. Just do any adjusting you need to do. Straighten out the wire a little bit, clip it to about 1/8 to 1/4 inch. And then we're going to get our round pliers again and form the little loop to finish off the end. And with the flat pliers, just do any little adjusting that you have to do, and there's your H. Now the I is super simple. I think you guys can figure this out. We'll just start as we did before, twist the wire to the height that you want for the I. It's just a straight line, super simple. And take one end, give it a little tug to close it off, clip it with our flush cutters, pinch it in so it's not sharp. Flatten the end a little bit. The wire's a bit kinked. Cut it to 1/8 to 1/4 inch and round pliers bring around the end. Pinch it a bit with the flat pliers, straighten it out, and there's your I. So for the J, we have our length of wire, and we're just going to curve it around with the round pliers. Again, if it's too much twisted, just pull it back a little bit and then tug the end around, clip it, and flat pliers, pinch it in, clip that end, and form your loop. And there's your J. So for the K, we're going to bend it a little bit from the bottom, maybe about 3/8 to 1/2 inch. Twist a little more if you need more length of twist. And then with the flat pliers, bend it up for that diagonal line. Pinch those sections of wire together as much as you can. And then bend it up at the upper diagonal line. Do a little more twist if you need more length. And then bend it back down with your flat pliers. So we'll have our 2 diagonal lines. Pinch it in so they're as close together as possible. And then one wire goes to the back and around to the front, and then those wires are catching the original vertical line, and crisscross them and twist to finish off the K. Push it up and clip one of the ends, pinch it, straighten out that wire a bit, and then clip it again. And then we'll get our round pliers to do that upper loop. Now you can make these loops a little bigger if you need to hang it as a pendant. You can just do whatever you need to do to make them into pendants. or earrings. So there's the K. And now for the L, again, super simple, similar to the I. We just make a length and then bend it at the bottom, tug that end, and clip it. Pinch it in a little bit. And then we're going to clip that in. We didn't even make a loop for this one. I just clipped it flush. And there's the L. And now for the M, you have a longer piece of twisted wire, and at about 5/8 or 3/4 of an inch you could bend it. Really depends on how big you want to make these letters, and if you're making a whole bunch of them and want them the same size, just measure them. If your wire is too long with the twisted section, just pull it back, tug that end, and clip it. And then pinch in the end, clip that 2/8 to 1/4 inch, and with the round pliers just finish off the end like that. And there's your M. So N is very similar, just bend it at the height you want on a diagonal, and bend the other one straight up. Sometimes you have to wiggle it around a bit to adjust it, and then tug that end and give it a pinch. If you're using twisted wire that's pre-twisted, you're just going to have to do this kind of finish on either end of the letter, but it definitely can be done with pre-twisted wire. And straighten out the ends, and there's your N. And for the O, you just have your length of wire, loop it around with your round pliers to make a roundish shape. You can just make it totally round and then elongate it to make the oval after. Whatever's the easiest way to do it. Might be easier to make the circle first, then clip the end, and then clip the other end so it's not too long, so you could just like pull it through that loop without too much distorting the circle. Stick it through there, get your flat pliers, tug it, bring it around, push it, and clip it. And then with the flat pliers, just make sure that end is in. And now you can adjust this to be more of an oval shape, just with your round pliers. And there's the O. So for the P, we're going to bend it at the top of the P, similar to the B, and get your round pliers and loop it around. So there's the P, and then we'll just pull one end back and clip it. And then we're going to take this end and just wind it around the vertical base and clip it. Pinch in the end so it's flush, and there's your P. Now the Q is a bit of a challenge to get that line at the bottom. We're going to start like we did the O and bring this around into more of an oval shape. So bring it right around and then get your flat pliers, and you want to bend this end to the inside. Okay, so that's part of that little cross line of the Q. And then just hold it in place with the ends. We're just going to put one under and one over that cross line, crisscross them, and then we're going to twist them. So just 1, 2, 3. I will post a photo of these in the community section and have templates as well that you can follow. Check the description. So clip those ends, pinch those in place. You might have to adjust the angle of that line. Just use your flat pliers to do any adjustments that you need. And there's your Q. Now for the R, just bend it at the top, starts like the P, and round pliers, bring it around, And then I'm just going to backtrack that twist a bit, bring it to either side of that vertical base wire, crisscross them, and bring it around to the front. So I just wound it around that base wire on either side, just so it's secured at the side there. So that's in place, and then we want to continue the twist to go for that diagonal line. So just crisscross them and twist. So this is going to be the diagonal line of the R. Just twist it a few times. So that's what we have so far. And then pinch it there with your flat pliers and just give it a little bit of a jog down. And from there, just see how high you have to make it. And then you can clip that, give it a little pinch, and get our cutters, cut the end to about 1/4 inch, a little less, twist it around so we have our little loop at the bottom, and press it with the flat pliers. And there's your R. So for the S, we're going to get our round pliers. This design might take a little bit of wiggling to get the right shape. So you can just kind of wiggle it back and forth a little bit as you need. And do the bottom. Just play around with it till you're happy with the shape. And then from here, we're just going to bring that one around and clip it. And clip the end to 1/8 to 1/4 inch. Bring that one around. And with the flat pliers, give it a little pinch. And there's your S. Now for the T, we're going to do the vertical line first. Push out each end to the sides. And then bend it where you want the top bar to be on either side. I ended up making the top bar a little bit wide, but just do it how you like. Pinch that in and twist it. This twist gets a little bit distorted. It's not as nice looking as the vertical twisted line. It's kind of tricky to twist it around that way, but you can just coil it around if you want. To do a pseudo twist, clip the end, pinch it, and then do the same on the other side, starting with the round pliers, flat pliers to hold it, and do this pseudo kind of twist that gets distorted, but it's all good. It's still going to look nice. Bring it around and pinch it, clip and adjust it. Takes a little bit of wiggling sometimes. Flat pliers just to make it sort of flat. And there is your T. So the U, pretty simple. Just take a length and curve it around with the round pliers. Easy. Tug the end. Pinch it. And then flat pliers. And we're going to cut it to 1/8 to 1/4 inch. Curve it around to finish the end. Flat pliers just to make it all level. And there's your U. The V is just like the U, except we're going to use our flat pliers to do a nice sharp bend at the bottom. So very sharp bend. Just hold it, push it. Do any wiggling. If you pinch it on either side of that bend, it sharpens it up. Now tug the end around and cut it, pinch it in, and then we're going to clip the end to form our loop with our round pliers. Bring that around, pinch it with the flat pliers, and there's our V. So for the W, you'll need a little bit of longer piece of twist. Use your flat pliers to make some little sharp bends. Push with your thumb and finger to sharpen them up a little more, and then down again, and then up. So that's this beginning part, and then pull it back if it's too long. And then we're just going to tug that end around and clip it. Pinch it in with your flat pliers. Straighten that end a little bit. Clip it with our cutters. And take our round pliers to finish it off in a little loop. Pinch it. And there's our W. So for the X, it's a little trickier. I ended up doing it with 2 pieces of wire to make it a little cleaner. So just do sort of the length that you want of one of the sides, clip the end, cut it, and form your loop. So we're just going to have a straight piece that looks like an eye, and then we're going to get another piece and start the twist as we've done before. Hold it with your flat pliers and twist it around just a few times. And then this is really tricky. If you have a better way to do it, go for it. We're going to insert that first piece and twist one of the ends around one side, and then twist the other end around the other side to hold it in place. Pinch them as close together as you can, and then crisscross the wires. Hold them with your thumb and finger and twist a few times. So there we have our crisscross, and then pull one end around, clip it, pinch it in with the flat pliers, clip the other end, and round pliers to finish your loop. And then just with your flat pliers, do any adjusting you have to do. Can rotate around, straighten out the edges as you need, and there's your X. So for the Y, we'll start the vertical bend, and these ends are going to go out at an angle. This is quite similar to the T. We're going to do our loops. Do the loops first before you twist them, just so you can compare the length. So we've got our 2 loops, and then you can get your flat pliers and twist it down. I'm not even going to try to do an actual twist because it's going to get distorted, so I'm just going to wind the wire down. Let's call it a pseudo twist. It's not a real one, but looks pretty good. So then we're going to wind this down a few times till we get to the center, clip it, and then do any little pinching in that you have to do with the flat pliers. Adjust it as you need, and there's your Y. So now we're at the Z, the last letter. We're just going to do a length of wire and basically with the flat pliers just form our Z. You can bend it back and forth and then tug that little end in and clip it, pinch it in, straighten it out, and clip that end. And then with the round pliers, we'll finish it off in a little loop. And there is your Z. So thanks so much for watching the video. Give it a big thumbs up if you liked it. Be sure to subscribe to my channel for lots more wire art and jewelry making videos. Hit the notification bell to be notified when I go live and when I post new videos. And if you'd like to share photos of your wire art and jewelry, be sure to join the Wire Makers Club on Facebook. And if you'd like to check out our work on Etsy, my husband and I specialize in custom wedding cake toppers and funky jewelry. I also have a mailing list, so if you'd like to submit your email, I will send you my free Wire Art Essentials ebook. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you the next time.